We had some pretty good inflation numbers out of the US, and I think they were quite surprising. And they actually were so good that I think a number of economists and a number of individuals were questioning the validity of the inflation data. Not often you see inflation drop from 3% down to 2.7 or 2.6, and that's what we received in the US. And perhaps because the government shutdown, over 40 days shutdown in the US. Perhaps the data itself may not be as accurate as at other times throughout, but it's the data that we received and it's the data that the market took. And on that day, the market actually surged higher when we received this data this past week. And 2.6, 2.7 is a great number. Let's put up a chart on inflation. There you have it. So we had all items came in at 2.6, which is your headline number, and 2.7 is the inflation number. We call it the core CPI or core inflation number. That is subtracting volatile food and energy. So when you look at a number 2.6, let's call it as a headline, 2.7 core, getting closer to the 2% target rate. And when the Federal Reserve looks at that, does that give them opportunity or so a little bit of ammunition to cut interest rates further in 2026? Well, I do believe they do. And I do believe that they will cut interest rates. And if they do, I'm just hoping that the Bank of Canada also considers cutting rates here in our country. I think that would be great to help stimulate our GDP, our growth here, which we just received numbers on in the last few days. And those numbers were actually quite slow. We saw a negative number a few months ago and a 0.1 increase for the most recent read that we're hearing about. And hopefully we do not have a negative read for Q number 4 or quarter number 4. So cutting interest rates in Canada, in my opinion, makes sense. I know the Bank of Canada did not cut this last meeting, but hopefully they will consider cutting. In the meantime, the US seems to be continuing to cut rates. Perhaps they don't cut early on in 2026, but with this inflation data, I think you can look ahead. And with a new head of the Fed coming into being in the spring, I believe it's in May that the new head of the Fed will take the reins, take the job. I think the market will be anticipating 2 rate cuts in 2026.